Hey guys, I'm so excited to see all your faces. At first I thought that we were going to be doing a team call, and then I got really excited when I found out it was a Zoom because I love being able to see you guys. I feel like I don't always get to do that. But like Jillian said, I didn't have a warm market. So when I started coaching and I told people I was a coach, it was kind of like almost aggressive. People were kind of like, what are you doing? Like, you went to college and you have a job. Like, why are you part of this pyramid scheme? So it was almost like my warm market was like hostile with me. And I think like a lot of you guys might deal with people that not only aren't interested in maybe what you're doing, but they're like, why? Like, are you doing this? So I think like the toughest thing for us as coaches that deal with that from like our warm market is like turning them off and like not thinking about what they're saying, but then also thinking like, let me switch gears and let me figure out how I can actually work this business and make it successful without having friends, family, coworkers, cousins, whatever, purchasing from me. So I think I went diamond in 90 days. So it was pretty quick. And every single one of those coaches were a discount coach that I had got from a mom group I was in. So at the time when I first started, it was very much like Facebook groups. And I was in so many mom groups. So you could be a mom or not be a mom. But my first tip for you guys would be really research Facebook groups. Like, figure out a niche market. And we talk about that all the time. And I'm sure you guys have heard that before. That's something I have all my new coaches do is I have them write at least 3 things that they are outside of Beachbody, outside of fitness, like totally outside of that. So it could be anything, like you like kayaking or you like hiking, you like knitting, like whatever it is, like you like doing, find something that has nothing to do with fitness and find groups on Facebook that pertain to that. And I'm sure you guys are in groups and you'll see those annoying people that like post their spammy comments and they post their spammy posts like, hi, buy from me, like my challenge pack is on sale this month. Like, we never want to be that person because I don't think you guys would want to buy from that person. Like, I wouldn't want to buy from that person. So the purpose of these groups are kind of to build relationships and like make friendships, for like lack of a better term. But like everyone in the moms group that I was in, like we established kind of like a friendship, and I knew their kids' names, like I knew their husbands' names. Like I kind of felt like we had like this online like relationship. So when I started coaching, I felt comfortable reaching out to them and saying like, hey, I'm doing this Beachbody thing. Like, we collectively want to lose weight, like, because we were all new moms. So that was like one thing that was for my niche, something I tapped into, was that we all wanted to lose weight. So again, that might not be your niche. You might not have kids, but your niche will have a purpose of how you can tap Beachbody into it. And I think if you identify your niche, sure, Jillian or anyone, I mean, I'm willing to help you too, like figure out what kind of groups to get into and how to spin that like interest or hobby into how they could, be interested, in Beachbody. So the groups are a great resource, using them to build the relationships, build friendships. And when you feel like you've established that kind of friendship in the group, like you're commenting on their post, they're replying to your post that you're putting in the group, send that friend request, bring it even more personal outside of the group and bring it to your personal page. Because you guys are all posting like 4 or 5 times a day, right? So they're going to get to know you like a lot better by seeing what you're posting. So if you're posting, 4 or 5 times a day, at least one of those posts are going to be Beachbody or fitness related, and they're going to see that. And they might see that for like a couple weeks. So we always say with this business, it's not like an immediate gratification thing. Like, it takes time. If we want to like sign up like a genuinely awesome coach, they need to trust that we're the right person to sign up with. And the best way to do that is to like not think it's going to happen overnight, not send that friend request and then message them and say, hey, I'm running this intro to coaching group. Do you want to join in? Because they're going to be like, who are you? Like, why would, I'm not interested in anything you say because I don't even know who you are. And like, I'm sure you guys, positive. Most of you have gotten a comment or something from like an It Works person or like another MLM that are like, hey, have you tried that crazy rap thing? Like, dude, no, I don't want to. And even if I did, like, I wouldn't want to do it from you because you're weird, you know? So we want to like never be that creepy person. We want to be like their buddy, like their friend. So that's my biggest tip. Get into for Facebook is get into these groups and build these relationships, bring them over to your personal page, kind of like just network with them a little bit. And when you think they'll recognize your name when you send that private message, that's when you send it. When you don't think like, are they going to know who I am? Like, don't send it if you don't think they're going to know who you are. That means you haven't finished like developing that relationship. So that's what I try to do with groups. And that's what I did at first. And I signed some like solid discount coaches doing that. But ultimately in this business, if you're in it to make money, which most of us are because it's a business and most people don't work for free or want to anyway, like there's a certain like satisfaction in what we do as coaches, but I mean, ultimately it's a job. So like we want to see like a payoff. So you want to sign more than just some discount coaches. And I felt like for me, branching into Instagram was where that like kind of shift happened for me with finding people that were like really interested in like actively working the business. So a couple tips for Instagram. Instagram kind of makes it easy for you with the Explore page. Are you guys familiar with that? Yeah. It's like when you first log in, you click that little magnifying glass and it pops up like a list of posts and pictures like that Instagram thinks you'd like based on like the things you're posting and the hashtags you're posting and the people you follow. They kind of like collectively put together a list of people that they think you'd like. So they kind of make your job a little bit easier by doing that. So I like to go through there and it kind of becomes like a snowball effect. So like if I see like a cute girl that is like using a resistance band or something in my Explore page, I'll click on her and I'll be like, oh, okay, cool. She's a BBG girl. So, you know, I mean, they're into fitness. I've had some success with BBG girls, some that haven't. It's a tough market to break into with those girls, I'll be honest with you guys, because it's almost like a cult following with her. They like worship her, they love her. Like maybe how I worship Carl, maybe it's the same thing. Like, but they love her and they like are really loyal to her. So some of them I've gotten to want to like try Shakeology because she doesn't offer like a supplement. So you can look at those girls as kind of like a way to maybe sell something, but as coaches, I've had half a dozen sign up and they end up quitting. So I wouldn't say they're the best like target, but a lot of them are like crazy taggers. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. But if you see a BBG girl and you click their picture, they tag like 40 people. It's nuts. So I go to each person that they tag and I'm like, okay, what are they? And some of them might have like 300 followers and they might have like a newer Instagram. And the girls that are like newer, and this sounds kind of like I'm creepy, but I promise it's not creepy. But like they might be newer to BBG and like they might be easily more swayed to something else because, you know, we're offering something. I think she's cool, Kayla. I think she's cool, but she's having all these people work for free for her. Like they don't get any kickback at all. And here we are like offering an amazing, you know, product and different programs and we're getting paid if we sell it. So if you can catch one of those BBG girls like early on in their experience with her programs, a lot of them have a lot more potential to be interested. So anyway, that's kind of like just one little part of Instagram is those girls, because that's what I've been doing lately. So I'm just like sharing that little thing with you guys. But the Explore page is a great place to tap into and kind of branch off. Another thing I did, I don't know if you guys search bloggers, but before I got into Beachbody, I was like a mom blogger. And blogging was like this really big thing and it's kind of past. So when people talk about like, should I start a blog? I'm more hesitant to tell you guys to put your efforts there because the blogging phase has kind of passed a little bit and people want like more instant gratification with the way they get like their updates. So like, you know, Facebook and Instagram, you have like a quick picture and a quick caption and like move on. And you know, blogs, like they tend to have paragraph after paragraph. But anyway, these bloggers have thousands and thousands and thousands of followers that they've built up. They have nothing to do with Beachbody. So I kind of don't feel bad going to their profile. And if it's part of, like, if it's a blogger that you follow that's part of your niche, and they have all these followers that you can tap into, click on their follower list and scroll those names. Makes it so easy. So there's a couple like mom bloggers that I loved, and I will look for moms that recently had a baby, because something to know, and you don't even have to have kids to know this, but something about new moms is they're all self-conscious about their body, and they all want to lose weight. Like, I have never met a new mom that it's like, I'm totally fine with the way I look, like I'm good. So I'll search through these like the follower list of these mom bloggers, and I'll just start following. And I'll go through, and I try to do, seriously guys, like 50 people a day. And I still do this to this day. I feel like, so it's a numbers game with Beachbody. You know, if you only add 5 people a day to your network, you really have like a low chance of somebody being interested in what you're doing, because you're just not putting yourself out there enough. But if you add 50 people a day, you have like a way bigger chance of like 5 or 10 of those people being like, yes, I'm like interested in what you're doing. But you never want like the people that you're following, like you never want that count to grow so much more than the people following you. When someone comes to your Instagram, they're going to be like, she's following like 2,000 people and only 500 people are following her. And it just kind of turns people off. It's like a weird thing, but they think like, oh, well, she's following so many more people that are following her. Like, is she really that cool? I don't know. And it's kind of dumb, but it's just one of those things, you know, like it's just one of those things that it's like that. So what I try to do is I'll follow people, and then I have the followers app on my phone. And if they haven't followed me back within 48 hours, I unfollow them. So I don't know if you've seen me talk about Google Sheets. I know Jillian's really big into Google stuff too, so you guys probably are familiar with it, but I use Google Sheets to track it. And I've used so many systems. Like when I started, I just had like a notebook, and that got really overwhelming because you're like scratching out like people's names and then it just gets really messy. But Google Sheets is great because you can access it from your phone. So if you're doing your power hour from your phone and not your computer, it'll sync to your computer when you log back in. So in my Google Sheets, I basically put their screen name. And if like they're, you know, some people list their name in Instagram, I'll list their name. And I'll list like some notes about them, and I can use to kind of like reference like our conversation. Like maybe they have triplets, and I'll put that in there, like a little fun note about each person, and I'll put follow date. And then I'll go back through that list, and I'll be like, okay, it's been 48 hours. This person hasn't followed me back, unfollow. And then I will also kind of check if they've commented on any of my posts or liked anything. So it's kind of tedious, guys, but it's like we have to put in the work, you know, like it's like a business like anything else. So some of this stuff is not fun, and it's a little more tedious, but at the end of the day, it works. So I'll go back through and I'm like, okay, well, Jane and Billy, like they didn't say anything, so I unfollow them. And then the people that are liking a lot of my stuff, they maybe aren't commenting, I'll highlight their name on my Google Sheet. And I'm like, okay, well, they're obviously interested, and maybe they're scared to comment. So I'm like, maybe that, you know, that's going to be somebody that I want to send an invite to, like a glimpse into coaching group, because there must be something they're interested in, right? So a lot of this is numbers, following a lot of people, tracking those people, and then, you know, making a note of every single person that you're interacting with on Instagram. Because I feel like if we don't track it, and I kind of went through a phase where I was just like mass adding people and I was mass unfollowing. But then, you know, I don't know when you guys run your glimpse into coaching groups, but like we run the big one, you know, the first Monday of the month. And I would be like, okay, well, who do I even invite to this? Like, I don't even know who I'm inviting right now, because I don't remember who I talked to. So tracking what you're doing during your power hour is like almost as important as the power hour itself, or it's just like a waste of time. So explore page, and then trying to find like big accounts. Another thing I did was, you know, like the IG Fit Moms, or like there's like a lot of transformation accounts that you can follow. Of course, a lot of people that follow those accounts are Beachbody coaches, but if you use those accounts, I mean, they've got like 50, 60, 70,000 followers, and people are being added, you know, every day that follow them. So if you click on that follower page and you look through those, you can click on those profiles, and that's a way to get like into the the fitness niche. But I think as much as you can search for people and you can add people and you can follow people, if you're not consistent with your own social media, then when you get those people over to your page, they're not going to stay, or they're not going to follow you back, because they're going to look and they're going to say, okay, well, she posted on like a week ago. Like, do I want to follow this person that's not going to engage me? You know, some accounts, I see them post like every couple days. It's okay. I just really, I feel like if you're trying to tap into a bunch of different niche markets, you need to be posting about different things, you know, throughout the day. So I try to like stick a picture of my kids in there and tag a bunch of hashtags about my kids. If I made like a cool salad, I will hashtag everything about the salad I made. If I'm working out, then I'll hashtag a bunch of things related to fitness. But the more variety you post, the more opportunity you have to expand the amount of people that's going to see your account that day. So if you only post once a day and you post about your PIO workout, well, maybe nobody cares that you did PIO, but you made this awesome like crock pot recipe for dinner and you didn't post about that. And like maybe someone would have really tapped into that. Okay, so now you've got the people and you're tracking them and you're networking with these people. Okay, so then what do you do? I feel like the transition process was one that kind of took me a while to figure out. And because you can post like, hey, follow me on Facebook, and like maybe one person will, like it's hard to cross them over. But if you're hosting a giveaway on Facebook, or you're running a free group where you're like, I'm giving you guys a meal plan and I have prizes and this, like you're going to get like a ton of people that are like, yes, I want a free prize. And, you know, some of those people are going to, you know, work and some aren't. But the best thing is getting them over to your Facebook. So the way I run my business is I find the people on Instagram and I bring them over to Facebook, and that's where I kind of like try to seal the deal, is on Facebook, because I feel like you can share a little bit more and they can kind of feel who you are a little bit better than on Instagram. So I try to do some really small groups that I do with just like 10 or 15 people that I'll bring over from Instagram. And then I try to run a big one. And you guys are going to find that some people prefer a really small environment and other people prefer a big one. So when Steph Chico was inviting me to things, I was one of those people that felt really nervous about being in a small group, because I'm like, she can see like what I'm doing. And like, she is like focusing on me, and like, I don't want her to focus on me. Like, I want to kind of be lost, and that's just how I was. But then other people are going to feel overwhelmed in a big group. They're going to be like, gosh, there's like 50 other people commenting on this post, and I feel like I don't know where to start or what to do. So one of the first things you kind of want to do when you're having that conversation with these people you're connecting with are like, what environments do you thrive in, you know, and ask them. Because I know we run the big Glimpse into Coaching group, and then I feel like everyone runs smaller ones, right, Jillian? Like, you run a smaller group. And that's good to ask, because then you know where to put them. And then, you know, we just started that ongoing group too, because I talked to some people that are like, well, I don't really want to wait for that group thing that you're doing. Like, can you just tell me now? And I'm like, gosh, there's so much information to try to like put it all in an email. So now we have that group that we can pop them into. But the important thing for you guys to know when you have these conversations with these people is like, figuring them out as a person, and like where they're going to thrive, and like what their goals are and what they want to do. So once you cross them over to Facebook and you feel comfortable enough with like your relationship with them, like, and you get them in that free group, and maybe it's like a 7-day group, and after the group's over, you message all your people and you're like, what do you think? Like, did you enjoy it? Like, blah, blah, blah. Some of them are going to be like, I want to go forward with this, and others are still not going to be sure. But what I try to do with all of them after that 7 days, because what I used to do is before they would jump in a free group, I'd make them use my link, like to sign up under an account with me. And I noticed like I lose a lot of people before the group would even start. And I was like wondering like, why is that happening? And I think before they totally understand how our groups work and maybe how we work as a team, it just scares them off. But if you do that 7 days with them and you show them like genuinely, like, I'm going to answer your questions and I'm going to give you these meal plans, and like, I don't want anything from you. Like, I just want to like invite you to my group. After those 7 days, like, they'll feel a lot more comfortable when you send them that link. They're like, yeah, like I do want you to be my coach. You know what I mean? That way, like, even if you lose touch with these people, if they do place an order, it's going to go under you. And I hate to say it like this, because I don't want you guys to not follow up with people, but it happens. Like, things get lost in the shuffle. But if they were to order something, and, you know, there's coaches out there that are not going to ask, are you working with a coach? And so that order goes through, maybe it was supposed to be from this other person, but they had used your link, so they're your customer. And you'll see that order pop up in your back office. Then you shoot that email or that message or whatever, and you're like, hey, I just saw you bought 21 Day Fix. I guarantee you guys are not going to switch that order away from you. Like, you know, you're not. So you want to, like, get them locked in with you, with your link, but you want to make them feel comfortable before you ask them to do it. And I feel like the free group is the best way to do that. And another thing I do, so I do the free group, and I try to run like some sort of like Shakeology group right after that. If you've got good momentum going with that group or those people, and, you know, pricing for them, I usually do like $40 for like 7 packets, and that includes shipping, but it like eases them in. So maybe they do that free group, they do a Shakeology group, and then they're like, okay, maybe I'm interested in buying a challenge pack. But it's kind of like, you guys see how it's like this whole, it's like a kind of a long process. And I don't want you to feel like discouraged, like, oh my God, this is going to take like forever. But when you work it genuinely like this, the coaches you do sign up and the customers you do get, they're not going to leave. Like, they're going to stick with you, and like, they're going to be good coaches. And I feel like the coaches that I signed up when I was just like trying to mass add coaches, like just to fill space in my downline, they've all quit, all of them. And my coaches that I genuinely built relationships with, even if they've been, like, I've been doing this for 2 years, like, they might be an emerald still, but they're still part of our team. Like, they still are here. So there's like a huge impact on like building that relationship as opposed to just mass recruiting. So we want to build, like, we want to recruit quality coaches. That's kind of like, that's just kind of my process. Did you want me to touch on anything else, Jillian?
Sorry, she's unmuting. No, I mean, that was really good. I have a few questions, and then we can open it up. So, I guess it's just like on a personal question note, do you, like, when you're inviting to a free group, do you like direct message invite someone from Instagram? You do. Okay. So you more work. Okay. So you more.
And I love that Instagram switched it, so now it's not so creepy that you have to send like this random picture of something random to send them the message. Like, now we can like kind of interact. So I feel more comfortable sending the direct messages now. But like I was saying before, I want them to, when I send that message to them, I want them to not be like, who is Jenn Ficator and why is she messaging me? Like, is she weird? Like, I want them to be like, oh, I know who that girl is. And then they want to click it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and then I really focus on health and fitness accounts. I've told my team that, like, obviously not people that are not associated with an MLM yet, but I guess, how do you, like, when I talk to people, you know, I compliment them. Like, they're basically, like you said, they're doing the work, they're just not getting paid for it yet. But how do you work with people that you think would enjoy a challenge group, or you think would be a good coach for whatever reason, but their page isn't really health and fitness related yet? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I feel like I just really, maybe I'm kind of blunt, but like, I just tell them that. Like, I mean, like, this girl I went to college with, she has like this incredible Instagram. She's like 12,000 followers. And I'm just like, I go, listen, okay, you are helping so many people. Like, so many people follow you and they enjoy what you're doing. But like, you can tap into this and you can make it a business. Like, you really can. Like, I'm just like super blunt with her. And she's like, I know, I'm just scared I'm going to lose people. Like, I don't know if you guys follow people that maybe have like a ton of followers. And like, I find that like trying to get somebody that has a big following already, like interested in what we're doing, they're scared they're going to lose their appeal. So what I try to tell all of them is, I'm like, okay, if you sign up, you sign up. Let's just pretend that you're a customer, that you're not a coach, and like you just decided to do 21 Day Fix or whatever, you know, and post about it as like, I'm doing this new thing, and not a single thing that you join like the organization, and see what kind of feedback you get. And if you don't get any feedback, or you get bad feedback, or you lose followers, then maybe it's not for you. But if people are like, oh, this is really cool, I want more information, well, bam, like you're just about to get 25% commission on that person that was just interested. So I think if we're honest with them, like we tell them we think they'd be amazing, and why we think they would be so successful with it, and like a no pressure start. Do you know what I mean? Like just having them like that. Honestly, that's how Steph Chico hooked me into it. She was just like, just be a discount coach. Like, you know, just like you get your Shakeology and like, you know, that's all you need to do. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, you know, I feel like we make it like no pressure for them. And then once they get into our groups and once like they meet our team, I feel like that brings them in and they like want to be part of it. But it's a combination of like being honest with them of why we think they should do it and also like no pressure.
Do you ask them if they're interested in health and fitness or no?
I feel like it's like, okay, so for a while I was focusing on like photographers that had nothing, like they had nothing to do with fitness. But in my mind, I'm like, listen, if they could take a pretty picture and like they know how to, if they're a photographer, they probably know how to work social media, right? Like they need to like promote the photography business. So you've got someone that knows how to work social media and knows like photography and knows like good imagery. I can teach them fitness. Like I can teach them to work out.
Yeah.
So I think like if you just have to find like the angle that works into it for them. You know what I mean? And like make it seem like it'd be like a beneficial for them to want to try this and do it. But yeah, photographers was like a big thing for me for a while. And 2 of my diamonds are photographers and they weren't fitness people. So it worked.
Yeah, no, I'm just like I said, I target a lot of fitness people. I kind of encourage my team to do the same. And but lately I've been seeing a lot of people that I'm like, you make a great coach. But when I talk to fitness people, I say, hey, you're already doing the work, but like it doesn't quite work with non-fitness people. You know, you have to take like a different.
See, for you've had like this incredible like fitness transformation. So and Ashley Campus is the same way. I didn't have one. So it was really hard for me to talk to fitness people because I wasn't certified anywhere. I don't have any background in fitness and I don't have anything to show like that I've really like done this. You know, I feel like you can be like, look what I've accomplished. And you have like this incredible like fitness transformation. I feel like Ashley Campos does too. Like she's lost all this weight. She went from this size to this size. But a lot of us like don't have that. And I didn't. So I felt really uncomfortable for a really long time, like approaching fitness people. Because, and this is like one of those things with Beachbody is a lot of fitness people are like, they don't have any like certification to be talking to me about this. Like they shouldn't be, you know, offering advice to people about fitness because they don't know anything. But coming from someone that lost a certain amount of weight, they're like, well, obviously she knows what she's doing because look at her, like she did it. But for those of us that haven't had that, then it's harder for those kind of people to take us seriously. So something I just did recently is I decided to get certified with NASM so that I can tell people like I am a certified personal trainer and I can coach you. And so I just recently, in this like the past month and a half, maybe 2 months, I just started networking with fitness people. So this whole time it's been people that are not fitness people. So while fitness might work, and it does work for you, Jillian, and it might work for a lot of people, it might not work for all of us. And so that's why I think it's so important to tap into your niche and where you feel comfortable networking with these people. Because the more you feel comfortable talking to certain kinds of people, it's something you know a lot about, like it won't be as scary for you to like present this opportunity because you feel like you guys have that bond about something. And for me, I'm like, I was clueless about fitness and nutrition. Like I really didn't know a lot. So I felt like kind of intimidated to try to talk to people about that. So you just have to find what works for you. And it's going to be a little bit different for everybody, you know?
Okay. I'll open it up now. Does anyone else have any questions?
What about Weight Watchers girls? Have you had?
Yes, they're good.
Yeah, like how do you approach them? I follow a lot of them, and you know I have relationships with a lot of them, and I keep telling them like you would make a good coach, you would make a good coach, and they just say not yet, not yet. How do you go about? Like, have you converted anyone?
Yeah.
Because you can use it with.
You can. And Jenna, I'm going to butcher her last name, Buttermeyer. Jenna Buttermeyer. She's under Annie Belmore.
Yeah, I watched that video. You posted it and I watched it, yeah.
And she has so many Weight Watchers people under her. And I think what I do now with Weight Watchers girls is I say to them, like, have you heard of 21 Day Fix? It's completely like Weight Watchers friendly. And we've actually made our own meal plan that's exclusive to our team. And I tell them, like, it's just like, because I honestly don't know any other Beachbody team that has like a Weight Watchers conversion. And I'm like, listen, like, there has been so much success with using the 21 Day Fix workouts with your Weight Watchers point system. And if you do talk to Jenna, like, she has different testimonials of people that she's worked with, and she's like a group leader or something with Weight Watchers. So, but yeah, I think the meal plan helps a lot, and you can like take a snapshot of it and don't show them the whole thing, but show them like a piece of it so they can kind of see like, if I do this, I can make it compatible, you know, with what I'm doing. And like on a recruiting aspect of it, and not just trying to sell them a challenge pack, like, you know, talk to them about how many people that they're networking with every day about Weight Watchers. Like, are they posting pictures of their workouts and they're saying like, this is how my point system works? And you could be like, you can tap into these people that need a fitness program. So I think just make it really relatable to them. But yes, like they're great people. And I really enjoy them as people, because I feel like you don't have to compete with like Kayla Steins. Like, you know, it's not this competition thing of a following. That's a really good point.
Yeah, one of the people, I'm really good friends with her now and stuff, but she's on Weight Watchers, and there's a few of them, and I'm like, you would make a great coach, and it would be perfect for you.
Yeah.
And I'm just like nervous. But
I would just go for it, and I really would. I mean, and you know, a lot of people feel like a lot of the Weight Watchers girls that post their journeys, and they're doing it because they want other people to see like they can do it too. And I think if we like really share that with them and like are genuinely like, listen, you know, we have this big organization, like you can help so many more people if like you get part of like a bigger thing than just your Instagram account by itself, you know. But it's a good idea.
So my question is not so much about the cold water, but kind of going back to that example of somebody who already has a market but's not really diving into coaching. So I have this one woman who I'm close friends with, and she pretty much does challenge groups every single month for like 150 women.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the conversation that I've had with her already has just been like, I don't want to just be like, hey, by the way, boom, you need to do this, because she's not into the idea yet. She doesn't even understand what Beachbody is. And I keep working, and I had her do an intro group. But any other thoughts on taking somebody who, for crying out loud, already has 200 so people and doing monthly challenges with them for free on how to help them? Like, you started tackling it a little bit, and I was like, oh, writing all sorts of notes about that.
Has she said like what her hesitation is?
I think she just came out of a really messy divorce, and now she's getting married again, ironically, but she's lost like 100 pounds. She's got about 300 pounds more to go, but she's kind of doing it to her own beat. And her goal in life right now is to be a motivational life coach. Mm-hmm. And like, that's her new thing now, but she's not really interested in signing on to some fitness program.
Mm-hmm. Well, so like for a while I was like doing just running, and I kind of really tapped out of like our programs, and I was just running, and I was like training for triathlon. And so during that time, all I did was focus on Shakeology. And so, and I felt like with a lot of like the runners, they were not at all interested in 21 Day Fix, PIO, like nothing. They're like, I'm running, like I don't need a DVD. But Shakeology was like something that I could, you know, kind of get them interested in, because it's something they could do in addition to whatever they're already doing. And that's kind of what I did with the BBG girls too, was like they've got their program, but they don't have a supplement. So I don't know if that would be a way to get in with her. I don't know if she's tried Shakeology with some of like these bigger people, like these accounts, like where they have like a bigger following. I'm like, can I send you a couple samples and like, can you try them and like, let me know what you think? And sometimes like them trying it, they're like, well, this is actually good. Like, and I feel like them being able to suggest something, I don't know if she does, the girl you're talking about, but a lot of the people I follow, they promote like Slap Nutrition, or they promote like these proteins that they pick up from GNC. So like, it's like they're not scared of promoting like a supplement. They just aren't sure, you know what I mean? Like, do I promote Shakeology? Like, I'm kind of not sure if I should promote it. But I think like that's one way to maybe get like another angle and not promote like the fitness aspect of what Beachbody does, but promoting like the Shakeology aspect. So are her challenge groups, like, how do her challenge groups work? Like, I wonder if you could offer to co-host a group with her, like see if she would do that.
That's a good idea. I'll look into that. Like, she'll do like the 21-day squat challenge, and she has this group on Facebook called Motivate Me, No Motivate You. And so she's all just into, it's great. It's such an uplifting and encouraging thing. Yeah. And I haven't really jumped into the group to advertise the fitness side because I don't want to like rain on her parade that she already is doing, to respect what she's doing. It's like she already has this amazing group of women who love her and are seeing her transformation. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're like the perfect coach already.
Yeah. It's hard when you see someone that has all this potential and they're not tapping into it. But I think, I don't know, I would a couple things. I would offer to send her some Shakeology to try it, because I feel like if you said to her, hey, let's like co-host a group together, like maybe I can incorporate our supplements like Energize. I mean, like they're working out, like these are things like they can use to enhance like their workout, you know? But I think if you said it to her, she might be hesitant because she hasn't tried it yet. So if she would be receptive to like trying it, maybe you could send some samples, or maybe you could co-run a group together. And she can kind of see your vibe is what you do as a coach. Maybe she can see like, wow, she's genuinely doing the same thing I'm doing. Like maybe there's more to it than just, you know, she's trying to recruit people for a paycheck. So right. I don't know. I think it sounds amazing. Like she sounds great.
All right. You're like so positive and awesome. And I think if she saw you run a group, she'd be super impressed. Like,
I think so too.
I'm really impressed with the Beachbody groups. I think a lot of people stick around because it's like this environment on social media where people like aren't swearing and being nasty to each other, you know?
Yeah.
So
I think if she watched you like in action of what you're doing, it could really change her mind. But I think the bigger thing is she needs to understand like what we're doing too, like, and why it's awesome.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
I have a question.
Hey, Jen.
Oh.
Hi.
I've got like 3 different questions, but they all, I guess, kind of go together. When you talked about getting people to sign up for the free membership on your website, I've thought about doing that, but it makes me feel icky when I ask people to do that. So how do you like get past that icky feeling of, hey, go sign up on my website kind of thing?
Like, I did feel really icky when I would invite them to the group and then I would like require them to sign up like before the group started. But now after the group's over and I say to them like, I tell them that the best way for me to track them as a challenger or as a customer, as a client, or however you feel comfortable phrasing it to them, is through my back office. And I say that like I send out like mass emails, like a Black Friday sale, for example. Like I do have this big customer list that I blast out this email to when we have these sales. So if you say to them like, or, you know, maybe you host giveaways. So like I try to host giveaways like every 4 or 5 months, something like that. And I say to them like, this is kind of like my mailing list. So you click this link and you sign up and it's kind of like my way to keep in touch with you for like any groups that I'm running that you might be interested in, like, and maybe name a couple like popular ones, like a crock pot group. Cause like people are a barbecue group, like groups that people might be, you know, and then, or when I host giveaways or when Beachbody hosts a sale, and then I'm able to keep in touch with you. But make it seem more like it's a mailing list than it is like,
that makes sense.
You know what I mean? So it's not like, hey, I'm your free coach now, but like, this is my list that I can keep you up to date on everything that's going on. Like, this is like my mailing list link. So.
Okay, that makes sense because I do a lot of free groups over on my own too, and I'm constantly having to go back to like past events and find everybody who participated and then having to go and message them again. So that makes sense.
So they sign up and you go into like the customers, like it lists everybody and you can export that into like an Excel or a PDF, and you can copy all their email addresses down. You can BCC everybody, and you can send out an email blast that way.
I need to do that because I suck at the technology stuff. I'm no good with it. With your IG stuff, when you're direct messaging people, do you go through and message the people who just like your stuff but don't comment or anything? Because I have a lot of people who constantly like my posts, but they never comment or anything like that.
I do. Okay, so for me, I don't sell. I don't retail. Like, honestly, my checks for like retail are like $40. Like, I don't retail at all. Everything I do is recruiting. So when I talk about like building a business, it's always about like adding coaches. So when I'm sending the direct messages, it's never been a challenge group for me. It's about joining like my team. So, and I will start off the message like, hey, this might be a little weird. I've loved following you. I've noticed you've been liking a lot of my stuff lately, and I'm running this open house group. I was just wondering if you might want to check it out. And if you don't, it's totally fine. Like, no worries, but it starts on Monday. And like, simple message, you know? And if they write back and they're like, oh no, I just like liked your pictures, you know? I mean, but like the worst they can say is like, no, they don't want to. But I'm telling you, like 9 times out of 10, if I send that message to them and they've been liking my stuff, they'll, you know, pop over and they'll want to join the group.
Okay, cool. So just basically keep it simple and don't overthink it.
And I'm telling you guys, like, I used to send these like long drawn out messages, like giving my life story and their life story and how wonderful our lives could be together if they only would like join my team. And like, I'd be like, why aren't they writing back? And they're probably like scared of like my 5 paragraphs that I typed to them. So and another thing too is like, when you're approaching people, if you make it seem like you want them to join you, but you're totally fine if they don't. It makes people want to join you more. Like, people are more hesitant to want to join you if you're like really into them and like too, you know, just like too much. Then they're like, well, why is she being so like aggressive? You know, but if you're kind of like easy breezy message, like quick and simple, you know, people are more apt to be receptive to what you're saying. I've made all the mistakes, guys, all of them. So don't feel bad if like it's trial and error. And I really feel like you're going to fail like 10 times before you succeed one time. And it's part of like our growing process and learning, you know, and you guys are going to look back in a year or 2 years at what you were doing today. And you're going to be like, gosh, why did I do it that way? There's such a better way to do it now. It's just growth, you know?
Learning process.
Yeah, totally. We have to fail to grow.
I have a couple questions actually. So one is about being a mom. So like that's totally like you're talking about like finding your niche. Like that's my niche. Like I have 2 kids. The weight that I've lost is just baby weight. You know, like you were saying before, I don't have a fantastic journey about I was always overweight. No, I put on weight with my babies.
Right.
But I find that the mom niche is like really hard. Yeah, moms want to lose weight, but moms are also super conscious of all the time that they don't have because they have to give it to their kids and all the money that they don't have because they have to give it to their kids.
Right.
How do you like overcome that? Because as a mom, I get that too. Like I'm busy, so I don't know how to tell you to like stop loving your kids so much.
You say that to them. Tell them that. You say exactly what you just told me, because a mom's going to listen to what you just said and she's going to be like, she gets it. She's not just trying to sell me on something, like she gets where I'm coming from. Like she knows. And like, you're like, listen, this, you know, this is how I do it. Like, this is when I fit in, you know, this into my day and this is why, you know what I mean? And like, I think for like a lot of the moms that I bring in, like they start off as discount coaches because they're able to like, you know, use Shakeology or get their program at a discount. But, you know, if you get a mom like that, and I usually say don't add coaches into like the team page until they've gone through training, because what I've learned over time is like they'll get super overwhelmed with all these posts happening and like all these things they should be doing. And they're like, no, like this isn't for me. But sometimes like these moms that you feel in your gut, like they're hesitant because of their time or committing, but like them seeing like our vibe and our environment, that might be helpful to them to like want to be part of something else. But honestly, when I talk to these moms, I say the same thing that you just said to me. I'm like, listen, sometimes I have to put my phone away because my kids are destroying my house and they're melting down and they want like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich like at this moment. And I just put my phone down and like, this is the only job where like we can walk away for 2-3 hours and just not pop in. Like there's no, you know what I mean? But I think the more honest you are, not like, listen, you have all the time in the world. Like you can do this now. You know, tell them like your struggles and how kind of you've overcome it. You know, and I feel like if you're telling them how, you might feel some days like you can't check in very much. Like some days you can more than others, and we're lucky that we have like that flexibility, you know. But I think at the end of the day, them being able to see like, even if I make $100 extra a week, that's something for my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, totally. I appreciate that. Yeah, definitely. Thank you. My second question, you were talking about doing like email blasts, and Jillian, I know you have like an email chain too. Are you guys using a specific program, or are you literally just using like old-fashioned email?
Old-fashioned email, and I'll tell you why. I was in PR and before I did Beachbody, and we used MailChimp. So when I started with Beachbody, I used MailChimp. But Google has changed a lot of like their algorithms with how they detect spam. And the word Beachbody is a spam trigger because it's not like a conventional word. So it just depends on what you're blasting out. But like in my signature, for example, it has Fitspiration because it says Fitspiration Couture. Like in my signature, I'm automatically just tagged as spam. So if I send out an email blast, I'd have to remove my signature. I'd have to make sure it didn't say Beachbody. Shakeology would be a trigger word because it's not a real word. So you'd have to be really careful what you're putting, in the email so that it doesn't go to someone's spam. And you have no way of knowing if it went into someone's spam. So when you BCC it though, and you're just doing it through like Gmail to Gmail or whatever, I noticed that it doesn't happen as much. But actually, I think there is a feature in MailChimp, or maybe it was like Constant Contact. It was one of like those mail services where it tells you how many of your emails were going to spam. And one of my clients that I was managing, like this was probably like a year and a half ago, it was 70% of the emails I was blasting out for them was going to spam. It was like an overwhelming amount because their business name wasn't a real word. And like the words we were using in their blasts weren't, you know what I mean? Like they became trigger words for spam.
Yeah, I'm so glad I asked that question because I've been seriously considering doing email, and I never even thought about how these things would just end up in spam like that.
It does, and sucks. Like, but I mean, you're gonna, maybe you'll end up in spam anyway. But the better chance of it not ending up in spam if you're doing it through like your email box. And I do BCC so that all the other people can't see who else I'm messaging.
Right.
So you can set it up like that, and you can put like, 200 email addresses in there, and then you can send the message. And another thing that I do too is I make it feel like it's an email blast and not pretending that it's just addressed to that one person. So I hate getting those emails from like companies that try to make me feel like, hey, Jen, and then it's like clearly like a copy and pasted script that they just like put Jen in at the top.
Right.
So if I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, so excited this is happening, and you address it as a group, it just feels, to me, it feels more genuine because you're addressing a bunch of people.
Right.
I actually do use MailChimp, but I have a pretty high open rate, which would make me think that they're not going. I have no idea why. But Dana, Allie Dar does a monthly newsletter in her Google Docs.
Okay. And
she literally just like updates it every month and leaves it for her team so she blasts it out on Gmail the same way Jen does. And so if you want to look at that template, it's really good. It's in the Diamonds group.
Okay, perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, she does. And that was another thing too. And that's kind of how I figured out, if you're having a good success rate with it though, maybe you're not putting trigger words like in your email blast. But so I was emailing all my PS coaches, and that's how I really figured out how much was going to spam, because I would post my PS group and I'd be like, did you guys check your email? Because like I only got like 4 responses, and they'd be like, I didn't get an email. And then I'd be like, can you check your spam? And I'd be like, oh, that's where it was. That's where it was. That's where it was. And I was like, okay, so there's something to that. Like if my PS coaches are getting my email from MailChimp into their spam, then maybe my customers are getting into their spam too. Another thing, Brandy Bots has a newsletter that she sends out, and every time she sends one out, it goes into my spam. So
yeah, I said
hard to know for sure.
So my newsletter goes to my coaches, and it goes to my second CBC now, and it shows up in my inbox. So I don't.
What do you use to receive your email?
Gmail.
Use Gmail?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I just
know. Whatever, but yes, Gmail, using BCC is easiest and safest. And actually, Audrey said that she got kicked out of MailChimp for MLM stuff, so eventually I may get kicked out too, but I don't pay for it, so.
Really?
Yeah, they were like, we have a rule that you can't be direct selling via MailChimp, which.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Seems
Seems weird because like
weird. Yeah,
selling something.
Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't been kicked out yet, but Audrey was.
Yeah, I know because she managed for a lot of different clients too, like and I mean Beachbody and not Beachbody, but I think a lot of it has to do with like what are spam triggers. So you might just be putting together really good emails, and I was putting very spammy emails. I don't know.
All right. We're just about done. Poor Jen probably needs to go to bed or start working. I don't know, one of the two. Does anyone have just one last question? I think Kristen started to talk, but someone else was talking. Kristen, was that you?
Hi, Kristen.
You're on mute. You're still on mute.
Got it. Okay. No, you answered my question already, actually, but thank you so much for doing the call.
Oh, yay. I'm glad I get to see your face.
All right.
I don't know if you want to see this right now, actually, but that's okay.
Thanks for having me on, Jillian.
Yeah, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. I'm sure everyone does. And guys, Jenna's really good about getting back to people. So if you think of something after, I'm going to throw her under the bus right now and tell you.
No, you can message me. Honestly, I love getting messages from you guys. It's just when I get messages from like people that are on other teams that want advice, that's a little weird. You can message anytime.
Yeah, and that'll start to happen to you. It's happening to me on Instagram now, Jen. I'm getting a lot of like.
They're like, tell me your secrets. And you're like, well, but I do anyways because I can't not, so.
All right. Well, everyone have an awesome night. I'm going to go watch the Dancing with the Stars finale. All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.